Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Trish from Downey's Candle Company. This is week 8 of 52 weeks of candles. Sorry I took a little hiatus, I guess you want to call it. Just doing a little bit of testing, trying to get my recipes down before I bring them to this channel. I want to make sure they work for me before I share them with anybody else. Today we're making scoopable wax. Well, not right this minute because right now I'm in my car waiting for the post office to open so I can get a few things mailed out before I go into my other job. But scoopable wax today, I've been reading about it and I watched some videos about it and I thought it looked pretty fun to make. It's kind of a neat idea. Just scoop some wax out, put it in your wax melter. So that is what I'm going to be doing a little bit later today, not right now, not in my car. But if you want to see how I make it and how pretty it looks, I use some mica powder, I think, then keep watching.
The supplies you'll need for this are 2 8-ounce containers. I got these plastic ones from Amazon, some fractionated coconut oil that I got from Whole Foods, mica powder I got from Brambleberry, magenta candle dye I got from Candle Science, and fragrance oil I got from Candle Science in the sea salt and orchid. I'm heating my wax up. I'm using 7.3 ounces of coconut apricot cream that I had around. So I'm heating that up to about 190 before I take it off. I'm using the double boiler method to heat this up. Now I'm going to add 2 ounces of fragrance oil. And as you may know from my past videos, I like to stir this for about 2 minutes. I just like to make sure that fragrance oil is incorporated into the rest of the wax. Now I'm going to add some of the colors. And since I'm using a small amount of wax, I don't really want to use a whole drop of the candle dye. So I use a toothpick and just dip it into the dye and dip the toothpick in there. Just give me a little bit of color. I'm also going to be using some of this. It's a rose mica powder from Brambleberry. And I'm just putting in a few popsicle sticks full. I did notice before when I've just used mica powder that when the wax kind of hardens up, the mica powder kind of drops to the bottom a little bit so that the top is not as pink. So I decided this time to add some dye and see if that makes a difference, which I'm hoping it will, and it'll keep the color stable throughout. So now that I have these mixed in, I'm going to add the coconut oil. For this, I'm adding 5.5 ounces of coconut oil. And you'll see that this drops the temperature on this pretty quickly because it's not heated up. It's just from the bottle. So I also like to stir this in quite a bit for I think I probably stirred this for 1.5 to 2 minutes just to make sure the oil and the wax mixed well together and were binded before I poured it into the containers. So once this is done stirring, I'm going to pour this in. It looks like the color is looking pretty good, and I hope it stays like that as it hardens up and doesn't separate like it did. Maybe last time I just didn't mix it enough. I'm really not sure. It's my second time using mica powder, so it is a learning process for me, and I'm going to just keep experimenting with it. So I just tested the temperature on that, and it was down to about 114. So, and you can see it's getting a little cloudy in there, and that's a good time for me to pour it because it's not too hot for these jars. So I'm just pouring both of these, and then I am going to let them set out and harden up. And they probably would harden up in probably a couple hours, but I left these overnight because, well, I had other stuff that I needed to go do. So those are all done, and now they are going to harden up, and I will see you when they're done.
Okay, so now my wax is hardened up. You can see that it's hardened up enough and you can still scoop it out. I've put my label on it, so you can see this is the sea salt and orchid. I should let you know that this video that you just saw me making this was actually my second attempt at making it. The first time for the coconut oil, I used this good stuff You can see it hardens up when it is cold out, which, man, I think it's like, God knows, 67, 68 in this room. But it's definitely early spring, so it hardens up. So this, in combination with the first time I used Cocoa Bright, which seems to be a harder coconut wax. So those two felt like it was a candle. It felt like I could have probably stuck a wick in there and burned it. But the second time, as you saw, I used the liquid coconut oil, a fractionated is what it's called, and that comes out nice and makes this nice and pliable so that you can put it in a wax melter and enjoy the scent. And that is it for this video of week 8 Scoopable Wax, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you.